Hey guys, it's us again. Today we're going to do something super exciting, and you can join us because we're going to take the highly sensitive person self-test on Dr. Elaine Aron's website. And yeah, we're going to do this while recording ourselves. So this is going to be a really interesting video.
Yeah, you can definitely follow along with us and see what your score is at the end and see what our scores are and what we have to say with each bullet point on the quiz.
Yeah. So shall we just get started? Let me see. Let me just share my screen.
So if you're interested in following along with us while we're doing the video here, you can just go to hsperson.com/test. Otherwise, we'll have it linked in the description of this video. And this is the official HSP test that Dr. Elaine Aron, the psychologist who originally coined the term, this is her test on her website. So it's a great resource if you have never been to her website before. Check it out.
All right, so let's dive in. So this test says to answer each question according to the way you personally feel, and check the box if it is at least somewhat true for you. Leave it unchecked if it is not very true or not at all true for you. Okay, so let's get started. I'm easily overwhelmed by sensory input.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I think strong sensory input, in case anyone is confused about what that means, is anything sensory. So sight, taste, smell, sound.
So, for example, just to give an example for this one, if you walk near a street and there are a lot of cars driving by and you find yourself easily overwhelmed by that noise, then that might be an indication that you're highly sensitive. Yeah, there are many examples like this that you can apply this statement to.
Probably the most iconic one for me is thinking about like if a fire truck comes by or an ambulance, I'm always the one plugging my ears.
Yes.
No one else does it around me, but I'm like, I have to. It's way too intense.
Yeah, I can relate. Okay, so next one. I seem to be aware of subtleties in my environment.
Yes. I tend to think of that as if you're in a room with people and the window is open and there's a draft coming in, that you'll be aware of the fact that the window is open and you're feeling a breeze coming from the window, or that a light bulb is burnt out in the back corner of the room that maybe other people haven't necessarily put their attention on, but you're just aware.
It's just the little details.
Yeah.
Other people's moods affect me. Oh, yes. That's a big yes for me.
Yep. Yes, to me too.
I have it so often that I encounter people, and depending on what mood they are in, I can leave with a totally different mood because I absorbed all their energy. And I think that a lot of highly sensitive people and empaths can relate to this.
Yeah, definitely. I used to experience that in my old job as well, because I would spend the whole day with the same group of people. Whatever the energy or the mood of the group was, it would just become my mood. It was crazy.
I tend to be very sensitive to pain. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I've even had times where you and I have talked about this in other conversation, but where I've actually fainted from pain. It's so strong that it overcomes my body.
Oh my God. Imagine once you go into labor.
Oh no. I'm like terrified. I'll just be drugged the whole time.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that will be so bad.
But even just like a headache or stubbing your toe, it just feels very, very intense.
Yeah, I often have migraines or headaches, and I'm just totally knocked out when I do, because it's just overwhelming for my body and so exhausting. So I definitely relate to that one. I find myself needing to withdraw during busy days into bed or into a darkened room or any place where I can have some privacy and relief from stimulation.
I'm laughing because it's very, very true.
Yes.
Oh my God. It makes me think of, so I used to work with kids. I used to be an art teacher in a daycare center kind of environment where there's like 30 kids. And I remember there's one day I came home and it was just, and not because it's not good work, because kids are great, but for a highly sensitive person to be exposed to that amount of just so much sensory input all day long and all their moods changing and the noise. I just remember, because I used to have this really tiny bathroom in my place that I lived in before this, and I would go in there and like turn the light off and just like, sit in a ball with quiet and just
it's so
be in isolation. Yeah.
I sometimes doubt if I am able to ever become a parent, simply because, I think once you have kids, it's so much more difficult to find this moment of serenity for yourself to just recharge.
Right. Yeah, it's important to be able to have that place to withdraw, for sure.
Yeah. I'm particularly sensitive to the effects of caffeine. Yes.
Can you even drink coffee?
Yes,
you drink?
I do. When
Okay.
I'm super tired in the morning. Otherwise, I don't, because I've done it a couple of times that I drank coffee around 5 p.m. in the afternoon, and I was still lying wide awake at 3 a.m. in the night because it was just too much of a kick.
One of the first times I had coffee, my hands start shaking. It's so intense for me. I can't even drink it, even if I wanted to. It's just so insane. Yeah.
Okay, I am easily overwhelmed by things like bright lights, strong smells, coarse fabrics, or sirens close by.
I love that. I literally just mentioned that.
Yeah, the sirens, definitely.
Yeah.
But also
Yeah.
the strong smells. This reminds me once I was on this different anti-conception, than the one I'm using now. It made me even more sensitive to smells. And I was walking with Rini over across the street, and there was all kinds of smells coming away, and I just felt the need. The sense was the smell was so intense. I just felt that I had to, do my best to stand there. I was just so sick, nauseous from it. And that's like crazy, like that you get so sensitive and that it even gets even stronger.
The coarse fabrics thing makes me think, one of our other videos we talked about taking the tags out of your clothes. If something is itching you, or, and one of the things I think my mom would mention a lot about when my brother and I were growing up, because my brother is also highly sensitive. And as a kid, he would flip out at different fabrics. Like she had to find clothes that he could put up with because it was just too stimulating for him to have anything that wasn't really soft and comfortable.
So crazy, right?
Yeah.
So funny. I have a rich, complex inner life.
I feel like for some people this can be confusing. At least when I first took this test, I was like, what does that mean? But at least in my interpretation, it's having a rich, complex inner dialogue where you think deeply and you process deeply and you have creative imagination. There's just a lot going on internally, mentally,
Yeah, just a lot going on all the time and going into depths no one ever could imagine.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good one for highly sensitive people, that part of overthinking sometimes and really going in depth into every single life question there is.
Right. I was thinking of even like spacing out where someone's like, where are you? And you're like, well, I don't know where it was just now. I was in a different dimension.
Yeah, I can so relate to that. I have that all the time, that I'm suddenly somewhere else and people are like, oh, where are you?
Yeah.
At least my body is. Okay, I am made uncomfortable by loud noises. Yes. Definitely.
Oh my gosh. So many times where I'll have to tell Matt to turn down, like I'm constantly with my hand on the volume of the car radio, or if I'll be cooking and he'll come in and play music and help me cook and stuff, and I have to take the phone and turn down the volume on the music. He just knows now. If I say just turn down the volume, he just does it. Because it's I can't stand loud. Yeah. It's also difficult because you can't control it. I mean, I guess that's the hard part, about having a sensitivity to your environment, is if you don't have a way to control it, it just feels very invasive.
It's just so challenging. I remember when I still was working for a boss, so I wasn't an entrepreneur yet. And my coworker was sitting across me and playing with his keys while working, and I had to type an important piece. And the keys, they were becoming louder and louder and louder. And nobody else in the office was bothered by it, but it was just so uncomfortable.
It's funny, I didn't even think about this until now, reflecting back, because my old job, I worked in a warehouse where there was forklifts and buzzers and all this stuff going on behind us, because I worked in a photo studio, and it was just this big warehouse, and there was a shipping and processing department next to us. So there was beeping and driving and lifting noises all day long. I would go home from that job so drained, I'm sure for several reasons, but I never even thought about that bombardment of noises all day long.
Definitely. Positive one though, and which I also can relate to. I'm deeply moved by the arts or music.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Sit for hours, just put on my headset and listen to new music and feel so emotional and touched by it and get goosebumps, and it's just so amazing. And I think that's a really positive side of our trait.
Oh, definitely. I think I think that I've definitely used music before as a way to improve my mood. I mean, for sure, the tone of the music I'm listening to, I feel like becomes whatever my mood is, which is actually a cool tool that you can use, like you said, to uplift your mood.
So nice. My nervous system sometimes feels so frazzled that I just have to go off by myself. As a foreigner, I don't understand that one.
Oh, okay. So I think this is like in a situation where if you're in a group of people, like you're in a party or you're in some sort of crowded environment where there's a lot of stimulation, where you feel like you have to remove yourself and go off by yourself. Or like if you're feeling anxious, you're feeling nervous, you're feeling some sort of agitating feeling that you need to go retreat by yourself to be able to manage that and get back to a better, state of mind.
Oh yeah, I can relate to that one. Definitely.
Oh my gosh, the next one.
Yes. I'm conscientious.
Yes. I mean, I think that's just goes along with our empathy trait of just feeling like we're so aware of our effect on people, of other people's emotions and experiences, and just wanting to be able to do the right thing and have good morals and,
Definitely. Just being a good person, not hurting anyone, and doing good for everything and everyone around you. I think it's all part of this.
Get startled easily. Oh my gosh.
I definitely have that all the time. I feel so awkward.
Well, it's the worst when no one else around you jumps. There have been so many times watching a movie or something or watching TV where I will, even if I know what's coming, that's the worst part, is that I know that something is about to pop out of a door or whatever on the TV. Will jump.
Like Rini is having the funniest time in our new home because he's really silent while walking. So I never hear when he's walking downstairs. So whenever
oh no,
it's scary because he knows I started, but he even doesn't do it on purpose. Just simply him walking in really silent really makes me scared.
That just made me think of, so I think this was last night. So we have a routine of bringing the pets up the stairs and getting everyone ready for bed at night. And Winter recently figured out that she could put her face through the railing at the top of the stairs. Like I was walking up the stairs and the lights on above. So if you can picture, like, everyone's kind of backlit. So I was walking up the stairs and I'm looking at Matt at the top of the stairs talking to him. And then my brain suddenly registered that Winter's face was sticking out of the railing. And I was like, ah! And Matt just started laughing at me. Oh my gosh.
I think the people around us have a lot of fun because we started.
Yes. Oh, but that was one of the things I had to tell some of my old coworkers, because when we worked in the dark warehouse, there was a couple of people that loved to scare other people. And I had to tell them, I'm like, do not do that to me. Seriously, don't do that to me. But just to explain to people watching, I think the reason that we startle easily is because our nervous system is always on guard. It's just the way that we're biologically programmed and wired to be keeping our awareness everywhere all at once. So, but there is a biological function for this. So if anyone's interested, maybe we'll link some research below, because obviously a lot of these things, I think when people take the quiz might be like, oh, these all seem bad, they all seem negative. But actually there is a biological purpose for us being the way that we are. And there's a reason that there's only 20% of the population are highly sensitive people. It's because we're supposed to be kind of like the advisors and the pause and check members of society that kind of help other people, become aware of things. And that's my 2 cents on some positive
so important
aspect.
Okay, next one. I get rattled when I have a lot to do in a short amount of time.
Yep.
That's why I became an entrepreneur.
But it's also, we do it to ourselves too. And I think that's another point of highly sensitive people who own their own businesses really have to be good about scheduling, having a good schedule and priority list so that they can get things done without overwhelming themselves with too much work.
Yes. Whenever I feel overwhelmed or rattled these days, it is because I didn't have a clear structure and no good time management attached to my work. It was just chaos. And then suddenly you realize, oh, I have a lot to do in a short amount of time, and you start feeling rattled. So I think it's really important to have a good system for yourself to avoid going there.
Right. Yeah, time management is huge. Yeah, I mean, best example, I was just thinking of getting ready for the airport or something. Because I get to a point where I'm like, I want to make sure I pack everything and everything's clean and everything's set to go. But I think planning ahead of time, making sure I've done enough stuff beforehand, and when am I going to pack, and I actually keep a list on my phone of everything I'm going to pack so I can just check it all off. Stuff like that. But yeah.
When people are uncomfortable in a physical environment, I tend to know what needs to be done to make it more comfortable, like changing the lighting or the seating.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm one of those people, if I have a couple people in my car, I'm asking if the people in the backseat are too hot or too cold, if I can regulate their temperature better.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. Especially if you're hosting people,
Yes.
I think that's even more true because you want to make sure everybody is comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I've heard in the past from friends coming over to my place to say, oh, wow, it's always so cozy over here. You're always setting the right mood and for getting visitors. And it's just so nice to hear. It's really a strength. I'm annoyed when people try to get me to do too many things at once. Yes.
Yeah.
It's the same as this one, maybe.
Right. It is some of these are kind of similar to each other.
Yeah, it's quite similar. I try hard to avoid making mistakes or forgetting things. Oh, yes.
Yeah, because of the just absolute awful dread you feel if you do any of those things. Yeah.
It's so bad when you forget something and you disappoint someone in the same run, it's so bad. I had it last time. I forgot to put an appointment in my agenda and I forgot about it. Yeah, then I got a text from the person asking where I was. And I wasn't there. I felt so bad, and I try so hard to avoid it. So that's why I always have my agenda, because if I don't, it just slips my mind.
The good thing to remember is that everyone does it. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone forgets stuff, but it's us that beat ourselves up about it. If there's something that you beat yourself up about from 5 years ago, like no one else is thinking about that thing that you did.
No.
Like, only you are. So I like to remind myself of that in those situations because if anyone forgets things, if someone missed an appointment, that can happen to anybody, and everyone will have that initial reaction of like, oh, that's frustrating, but then move on, But yeah.
The funny thing is, the person who I forgot, she mentioned that she actually was happy to see that I forget stuff every now and then too.
Oh, so funny.
She knows that I'm really so careful about not forgetting stuff. So once I forget something, she found it relieving because it made me less of perfect in that
more
sense.
Human, yeah.
More human. Like, wow, you forget stuff too. Good.
With this bullet point on this quiz, I think it's very true that we kind of go out of our way to really make sure we do things right and make sure we put our best effort in to avoid letting someone else down for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh yeah, this one. I'm trying to avoid violent movies and TV shows. Yes.
It's really actually nice, the relationship I've developed with Matt for this bullet point, because he is like the person that pre-screens everything for me. He'll tell me whether or not I can watch something, or if there's a movie he's seen before, he'll warn me. He's like, you want to look away from the screen right now. I'm like, oh, thank you.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
I don't have that. Like, Rini is also really sensitive to that kind of stuff, but
right, because he's also very sensitive.
Yeah, not as much as I am, I think. But like, if he would take this test, he wouldn't check off every item. But like, this one too, he doesn't like horror movies and all those kind of shows. So we have to stick through it together. So what I sometimes do because I'm also a high sensation seeker. So I like sometimes to challenge my adrenaline. And what I do, if I find it too scary, I turn off the sound. That takes away one of the
sensory inputs. Yeah.
It's just watching, and then it's more bearable for me to do.
Interesting. That's a good point.
I become unpleasantly aroused when a lot is going on around me. Yeah. I
can think about being at a party or something, and if there's a lot of music and a lot of conversations, I tend to almost feel, sometimes I think mostly it drains me after the fact, but in the moment I start feeling like I get ramped up with everyone else's energy, but not because I'm excited and I want to participate, but it's because I'm picking up on everyone else's energy and get like unpleasantly aroused is exactly the way to word that.
Yeah, it's just picking up too much from everybody. Yeah. Being very hungry creates a strong reaction in me, disrupting my gosh. Oh yes, definitely.
Hangry. I feel like a highly sensitive person came up with that term.
Yeah, hangry. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, every time I'm having a fight with Rini, I'm just telling you, sorry, I'm myself again after I have eaten something.
Oh yeah. Well, there have been times, especially recently, where I'm like, I'm sorry, I need to just go sit by myself and eat, and then I'll come back. You know?
Just, sorry for everything I'm saying now. It's a disclaimer for everything I'm saying now.
Right. Right. Oh my
It's
God.
different.
Yeah, it's a really good thing to bring your awareness to as a highly sensitive person if you weren't already aware of that, so that you can realize, because there are times where I'll get really irritated or frustrated. Matt, and he does this in the most loving way. It's interesting talking about this because obviously Rennie is highly sensitive and Matt's not, so there's just interesting differences. But I've loved that Matt has gotten to know me so well that we'll be doing something totally mundane, talking in the kitchen or cooking or whatever, and then something will frustrate me. I like burn myself on the oil or jam my finger in something, and I'm just immediately like, ah! And I go from 0 to 60 in a split second. And he's like, oh, wow, okay. And then usually the first thing he asks me is, so, do you need to eat something? Are you okay? Yeah.
I can relate so much to everything you just said. Changes in my life shake me up, definitely.
Because I've moved so much recently that hasn't been as big of a problem. But I think it's still very true that I love predictability. I like being able to know that I can control my environment and stuff. I think actually the best way for me to relate to that one is if I'm staying at someone else's house or staying in another environment that's not mine. But if I have to be forced into something that's a different environment, it definitely is like an adjustment period, and it makes you feel a little uneasy.
Yeah. I totally relate to that. And also I felt it in the past couple of months because I've been moving and I don't move that often. So for me, moving is quite a big change. And yeah, I had these great plans for my business, but yeah, because this move was happening, I just had almost no energy left to put into my business. So it was such a frustrating experience that you want to do it mentally, but your body just can't handle everything at once, you know. So change definitely can have a great impact on me as a highly sensitive person. Yeah.
I think even in the small things too, like if Matt and I had a plan to do something that night, my brain and my body and my emotional being gears up to be prepared and expect that thing to happen. And if it doesn't, or the whole plan gets derailed because something else comes up or whatever, it's kind of jarring to not be able to be prepared for what's about to it's about to come, you know.
Yeah, I totally relate to that one. Yeah. I notice and enjoy delicate or fine scents, tastes, sounds, works of art.
So this is so me. And the reason that I became aware of this is because people so often in college and even post-college always ask me if I smoke pot. Because if I like smoke marijuana, because I like, there have been times where I'll see a flower or something, I'm like, oh my God, it's so beautiful, or whatever it is that I'm doing, that I just become so giddy about something for seemingly no reason to, you know, a non-highly sensitive person. They're just like, people are like, are you sure you're not on some sort of drug?
Yeah, like, people always find me very, very enthusiastic. I find it unpleasant to have a lot going on at once. I think that's a bit the same as the one above.
I think a lot of the times with tests like this, they're thorough in the sense that they make sure to word things differently in case it makes someone think of something different and they put a different answer or whatever. So yeah, some of these are kind of around about the same thing.
I make it a high priority to arrange my life to avoid upsetting or overwhelming situations. Yeah, in some sense, I don't want to avoid it fully because I don't want to withdraw from society and from everybody who's not sensitive or less sensitive.
Yeah.
But of course, I ensure to not get overwhelmed every day.
Right.
I really pick my battles carefully.
Yeah, I feel like it's interesting the way it's worded, because I probably wouldn't say it's a high priority to arrange my life. Like that just sounds very extreme.
Yes.
But it's definitely true that I put a lot of thought into preparing for something or avoiding something. like I'll choose to go to the grocery store when I know there's less people, especially right now with everything going on.
Yes.
I'll specifically plan so that I can go do things when it's less stimulating. So yeah.
Yeah, I have the same. Yeah. I'm bothered by intense stimuli,
Yeah.
like loud noises or chaotic scenes.
Yeah.
Yes. When I must compete or be observed while performing a task, I do become so nervous or shaky that I do so much worse than I would otherwise. Yes. This is definitely true. I can remember when I still was working for a boss, I was the best employee whenever I was working on my own. I got it done in no time. And once my boss started watching behind on my screen, I just couldn't function well. So
Right.
I totally relate to that one.
I mean, this is almost like when we start recording our videos, we're totally fine just talking to each other. And then as soon as we start to do the introduction and we're like aware of the fact that someone, even though they're not actually there, is going to be watching us.
I know, right? It's so crazy. When I was a child, my parents or teachers seemed to see me as sensitive or shy.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, for me, sensitive. I wasn't really the shy kid.
Yeah, me neither.
Because I'm extroverted, but I was definitely sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So that's it. Let's see what's our total. I think
it's pretty obvious.
Yeah. 27.
I got 27 too.
Yeah, you too. Because
if you answered more than 14 of the questions as true of yourself, you're probably highly sensitive, but no psychological test is so accurate that an individual should base his or her life on it. We psychologists try to develop good questions, then decide on the cutoff based on the average response. If fewer questions are true of you, but extremely true, that might also justify calling you highly sensitive. Although there are as many men as women who are highly sensitive when taking the test, highly sensitive men answer slightly fewer items as true than do highly sensitive women.
This is it. If you want to take the test, go to hsperson.com and you can find the test at the top here, and you can also take a test about your child.
For your child, interesting.
And also the high sensation seeking test, which also is quite interesting for those of you who like an adrenaline kick every now and then.
Maybe we should do that test at some point too, because I think actually it'd be interesting to see how we would differ.
Definitely coming up on a video. And if you want to know more about the trait and want to read up on it, Dr. Elaine Aron has wonderful books about the trait, and yeah, you can see them here. And we definitely recommend you to read them. And you can also find the links to our books in our description.
That was the Highly Sensitive Person test, the official test by Dr. Elaine Aron. We hope you took it along with us and maybe learned something or found something within our conversation that you can relate to. Make sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our future videos. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye. And
all right.
if you, oh, sorry. Check Okay. Okay.
All right.
See? Yay. Yay.